Well, good morning, everybody. It's good to see you. Welcome to River of Hope. Such a beautiful day out there. Everybody's still talking and gallivanting out back there. So we're just going to get you all to stand up or sit down. Stand up, sit down, stand up. No, we're going to stand up as we get into this time of worship. We're going to do a little bit of a new song this morning. It's not a new song, but it's new to you guys. So hopefully, it's called Move, and I hope it actually does that. It makes you move. When you move, darkness runs for cover. When you move, no one's turned away. Where you are, fear turns into praises. Where you are, no hearts left unchanged. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. When you move, the outcast finds a family. When you move, the orphan finds a home. Lord, here we are. Oh, teach us to love mercy. With humble hearts, we bow down at your throne. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. So come. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. King of all generations, let every tongue and nation surrender all to you alone. King of all generations, let every tongue and nations surrender all to you alone. You alone. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. Oh, lead us back to you.
stay still until it sinks in. And I will lean back in the loving arms of a beautiful Father. Breathe deep and know that He is good. He's a love like no other. You will never leave. Your love sustaining me. Before I even knew what love was, You brought me here to rest and given me space to breathe. So I'll stay still until it sinks in. And I will lean back in the loving arms of a beautiful Father. Breathe deep and know that He is good. He's a love like no other. Now I can see Your love is better than all the others that I've seen. I'm breathing deep all of Your goodness, Your loving kindness to me. Now I can see Your love is better than all the others that I've seen. I'm breathing deep all of Your goodness, Your loving kindness to me. And I will lean back in the loving arms of a beautiful Father. Breathe deep and know that He is good. He's a love like no other. Lean back in the loving arms of a beautiful Father. Breathe deep and know that He is good. He's a love like no other.
The King of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Let the King of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, he is my song. You are good, good. Oh, 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 let the King of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. You are good, good. Oh, 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 you're never gonna let me down. 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 'Cause you are good, good. Oh, 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 you are good, good. Oh. As we were practicing this week for this morning, this last song we're gonna do has. We all know this song. It's Set Afire, but the scripture that came to my mind as we were practicing was Psalm 84:10. If you don't know it, I'll read it. And it says, "A single day in your courts is better than 1,000 elsewhere. I'd rather be a gatekeeper in the house of my God than live in the good life in the homes for the wicked. For the Lord is our sun and our shield. He gives us grace and glory. The Lord will withhold no good thing from those who do what is right. O Lord of heaven's armies, what joy for those who trust in you." We've come through a couple of really hard and trying years. And I don't know about you, but now that we're able to gather together free of all of the restrictions, there's no place I would rather be than in the house of the living God. This song, it says, there's no place I'd rather be than here in your love, here in your love. Well, this morning, let's change that for just 1 second. And I know it's kind of going away from the premise of the song, but there's no place I would rather be than here in your house, here in your house. No matter where we go, His house is with us because He dwells within us. And if that's true, then His love is within us as well. So let's this morning sing that there's no place I would rather be than here in your house. Here in your house. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be than here in your house. Here in your house. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be than here in your house. Here in your house. So set a fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control. I want more of you, God. I want more of you, God. Set a fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control. I want more of you, God. I want more of you, God. I want more. I want more. More of you, God. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be than here in your love. Here in your love. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be than here in your love. Here in your love. So set a fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control. I want more of you, God. I want more of you, God. So set a fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control. I want more of you, God. I want more of you, God. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be than here in your love. Here in your love. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be than here in your love. Here in your love. So set a fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control. I want more of you, God. I want more of you, God. So set a fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control. I want more of you, God. I want more of you, God. Let's just stay in that moment for a minute. We're going to sing this one more time right through, but let this be your heart prayer this morning. That there's no place that you would rather be. That as you experience the Spirit of God wash over you, let Him set a fire in you fresh and new. Something vibrant, something that you haven't experienced before. So that you walk out of this place different than when you first came in. That is the whole reason why we come, is to be different and to be set out, set apart, like a light on a hill, shining for the whole world to see that the Spirit of the living God lives within us and that He is not dead, that He is still alive. The world is telling you that God is dead, no matter where you look. But we know different. So let's be set on fire this morning. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be than we're just so thankful that no matter where we are, no matter what we might be going through, Lord, you are with us. Your Spirit contains us. And that you desire to be in communion, in right relationship with us. So Lord, this morning as we come to listen and experience you, Lord, I pray that we are set afire afresh. Lord, I pray that our hearts burn for the things of you more strongly than they have ever. Lord, we give you this day in honor and glory. In Jesus' name, amen. Now, before you guys sit down, we're going to do something that we haven't done in a very long time. Maybe last week. Stand up, go shake somebody's hand, say high five, say, you know what? You're awesome. And have a wonderful morning. I would rather be, no place I would rather be, no place I would rather be. Here in your love, here in your love, no place I would rather be, no place I would rather be, no place I would rather be, than here in your love, here in your love.
Good morning. Thanks. Oh, yeah, I can't do it. I'm not as skilled as you, Christy. Thanks, you guys. That was great. I'm so happy to have my friend Dee with me here today. Everybody give her a round. Look how beautiful she looks in that dress. It's her everyday going outside dress. You look beautiful. Okay. This is our time when we want to say thank you to God first. So in your heart, we super appreciate everybody that continues to give online and give here, and thank you. We thank you for all that the Lord has given through all of you. But think too, anything great that the Lord has done for you this week, anything you're thankful for, put it in your heart, and then Dee is going to count us down. And when you want to just say thank you, give him a round of applause or a dance or a shout out. Here you go.
3, 2, 1.
Nice. Good job.
If you like the Wings of Fire books, talk to Amelia or Lauren. They have a cool book study going on after church some Sundays.
Do I see either one of them? Is it today? We're not sure. Sure, today it is. They're led by the Spirit on their days, and I love that. Okay, if you're a parent, and there's a few of you, if you're a parent, put your hand up, because I know, well done. Thanks for participating, those of you that are parents. Keep your hand up. Okay, put your hand down if you've ever found parenting just so easy that you've never frustrated and it's a breeze. Right? Okay, parenting is the hardest job in the world, like totally. When Dave and I were talking about this, I thought it's really interesting that Jesus was full-on human, but he was not a parent. And it's a tough job. Like, I think God would even agree that was a tough job. But we heard about this parenting workshop coming up. It's on June 21st. It's not a ton of notice, but we only just heard about it. I found out about it, well, Jesse told me, but it's on our Bare Marriage podcast, and everybody that listens to that knows. Where's my Christy? Where's my person? It's the best marriage podcast out there. And they have, thanks for your high five. Well, you are my person. But Christy's she loves this podcast as much as I do. And so they have somebody that I totally trust, but Dave didn't, so we had to listen to her more. And we totally both trust. This parenting workshop will change how you parent, I think, from the one thing we listened to for the rest of your life. So not to undersell it at all. And it's a webinar and it's completely free, June 21st at 1 o'clock. Like, I know I'm gonna be at work. I'm gonna still sign up for it and maybe listen to it while I'm at work. But if I feel like, oh, this is great, I'm going to see, and if there's enough interest, if you all don't make it on June 21st, we'll maybe see if we can sign up for another podcast because it's great. And it's for all ages. If you're a brand new baby or if you even have teens, I think you're going to get something out of this podcast or out of this webinar. But if you want to sign up for it, it's free, but they do want to save a spot. We have the link on our website. So you can go to Church Track or our website and sign up for it.
Ball hockey, everyone is welcome on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. at the tennis court by the high school to play ball, hockey, or cheer on the players.
Well done. Summer Sunday School. So we've started up a sign up for, we want to give our volunteers, our regular volunteers, a break over the summer. So that means there's an opportunity for all of us to sign up over the summer and give them a break. And this summer, if you're like, well, I don't know how to teach Sunday school, that's perfect. This is perfect summer for you. We're not going to be doing any teaching per se. It's all about games. And we're going to have one room for people that want to play games. So if you are like, I was the Red Rover King in my day, this is for you. If you know how to play hide and seek, you can do this. If you know how to play, I don't know, soccer, you can participate. Then in another room, we're going to have the Summer of VeggieTales again. So if you're a kid or you just want to watch a good old VeggieTales in color, that'll be another room. So we're all gifted in all of this area because you can either watch TV or you can play games. And there's only a limited number of Sundays, you guys, so don't rush out now. But get in line after church and sign up. That's my push. Till next week.
Hey, you guys, we get to go to Sunday school now. Kids up to grade 2 can go through that door, and kids in grade 3 to 6 kids will be going to those 2 meeting rooms.
Well done, you. Now, before you go, kids, too, I just want to also say to parents, after church, we're getting a collection of really fun games out there in the entrance. Your kids are free to take those games if you're okay to bring them outside, and they can play where we can see them out in that field. Today, we set up the super fun game I invented called Big Croquet with a soccer ball. And so it's a catchy name. And so you're just going to kick the soccer ball through those fun, big, oversized croquet things. It'll be really fun if you want to do that or play any other games. Doesn't that sound fun?
Yeah.
Okay, well, super. Thanks so much, Dee. Go have fun. Well done. Oh, yeah, we're going to pass this on. And now Dave and Jesse Cornelson are coming up for the final announcement. Sharing time. I think they're going to, you're going to need one mic for sure, though.
I don't
I like
need a
to
mic.
throw things off enough.
So I wanna, as I introduce this before Jesse talks to you, I just want to preface this by saying that in general, if you've been around for a while, you know I'm always reluctant to advertise or announce things that are not church events, because that's what we're here for. This is not a church event per se, but there is some huge value in this, and because I respect and admire Jesse so much and I trust him so much, he asked about doing this, and of course, I mean, I watched the video you sent me. Like, I'm not ignorant about what this is about, but there's some huge value here, and so it's being offered here on Wednesday at 7. So Jesse's going to tell you a bit about it, and so if you just lend him your ears.
Thank you. This is on. So I just wanted to share with you something that Monty and I have done in our business about 2 weeks ago. We brought in a fella who is they call it human factor trainers. And I'm friends with the fellow who's going to be here on Wednesday. And so we brought the trainers into work. We took time off. They got to sit down instead of work. And so that's the level of value we put on this type of training. So what is it? Like, just get to the point, right? I got 2 minutes. I got 1 minute left. So what they do is they talk about how your brain works. They talk about using your front brain instead of your back brain. If you want to know kind of what that means, come on Wednesday. That's all I'm saying about that. They train how to move memories. Okay, so if that intrigues you, come on Wednesday. We're making it completely open to anybody, so there'll be people here from our company who didn't get to see it when we were here. I'm inviting all of you to come. It's good for all ages. Hunter will be watching a movie over there probably, so if you want to goof off with Hunter, you can bring your kids in there. Or if you want to goof off with Hunter, you can go there too. But the training is decidedly and intentionally secular in the sense that they're not evangelizing with the training. However, funny thing, all of the principles are directly from the Word. And so they're developing possibly a church track with this, but that's still in the works. But this is what came to me before we did this training. Jeremiah 33, verse 3, which says, "Call to me and I will answer you, and I will tell you great and unsearchable things you did not know." And for me, this is one of those things that I did not know before, and I know today. And it really helps with how you process events in your life, how you process your reactions to things that happen. And talk to anybody who's been through the training with our company, and I'm sure they'll have good responses and a good review, which they do, 100%. So we've invited all of our employees to come again and to bring their families and the kids, and they're going to do that, some of them. We'll see how many come. But I want to throw the invitation to you. If you're interested in it, come talk to me after. I can fill you in on some of the details. But totally believe that this is, like you say about the podcast, will change how you do things and how you think and how you process life. If you have any other questions, talk to me. The cost is 100% free. $100? What?
No.
Free.
Thank you.
When Dave gives you a time limit, it's just a suggestion. I never take it to heart.
He did. I
know.
didn't say
okay,
anything.
good. Oh,
I didn't say anything. I give myself a time limit. I don't give him a time limit.
Okay, good.
I just this was pointed out to me that Jesus may not have been a parent to children, but he did have 12 wayward sons that traveled around with him.
Yeah, I thought maybe I was going down bad theology there.
Well,
but
it's
I'm
all
just
right.
saying,
It's all right.
I know it's a tough job.
And if I can just say on that subject, I'm not trying to do anything, change anything, but I believe all truth is God's truth. And so if you learn a true thing, it is from God. And so this is a truth that you can learn about yourself, and that's from God. No matter if it comes from a secular source, doesn't change truth.
Yeah, in fact, this is going off topic, but we're just here, wanting to share with you how great our week was. We wanted just to take this time. And but one of the things, one of our best sessions, we heard at this retreat, the stuff was secular. And I even didn't saying that word because everything is sacred. This whole planet belongs to the Lord. He created everything. He created every genius. He creates every thought. But this one book was recommended to us, and everybody's like, well, he's an atheist. And I'm like, well, so what? This great information still came out of it. God spoke through a donkey. So whatever. We shouldn't be surprised that anything can come. Anyways, back to why we came here.
Right.
So we went to, I don't know if the people that weren't here last week, we shared that we were going away to the Billy Graham Foundation had gifted.
Billy Graham Evangelical Association.
Thank you. That's why I say foundation. And for this retreat for pastors. So we went in hesitantly, but it was a free retreat in Kananaskis, so not that hesitantly. But it's like, I don't know what they're going to make us do, but it'll be worth it. And you know what they made us do, you guys? They made us just, I'm still crying from it, just receive God's blessing and be healed in places we didn't even know needed healing. From the minute we registered, they gave us these gift baskets. It had things in it, and which just added to how much are they going to charge us at the end? Like, there's going to be a secret cost after. But then you open up this card and it had my name on it. Maureen, we've been praying for you for weeks, all by name, and it was all signed by staff of their thing. And it was like, I just started crying, and then I didn't stop crying. And I was like, oh. And then we talked to other pastors as we were all kind of coming in, and everybody is kind of like, hey, what do you think is going to happen? Like, on the last day, are they going to do the whole timeshare thing and make us like, what are we going to have to do? And I don't know. And then we were like, hey, they've been praying for me all week. And they said, yeah, we compared signatures. It's not actually stamped. Like, these are individual people. Like, we were all like, this is actually happening. And we're here in the mountains, and it was so beautiful. And then the first speaker goes, okay, all of you, relax. We're not going to ask you for any money. We are not going to give you a timeshare presentation on Thursday. He said, just relax. He said, the churches have all been hurting for 2 years. We know you've been struggling. And I'm not apologizing from right now. From here on in, I'm going to just cry. And they said, just let that go. This is a place we are going to give you tons of time to just go and hear from the Lord. Let that pain go and fill up in his love and joy. And you could see literally all the shoulders just kind of drop. And it was good. We continued to release all that stress. Mine came through my eyeballs, and we just filled up, and it was great. And we met lots of people. From the first couples that we met, it was from the Lord. God lined up our lives, and we all, 3 couples went, we're all new best friends, and it was really super. It was just great to find other people that are totally like-minded. Both couples, the wives were the senior pastors at their church, and for people that know me, that's been a passion that will actually make women equal in the church. And I was like, yes, Jesus, thank you. And we just met. And one other thing, and I know you're gonna we'll just go back and forth, we planned. But one other thing that was just such a blessing was, even though we were from all different denominations across Alberta, we all worshiped together, and it was super cool to kind of realize during that time that this is really cool, because I hate that we have so many denominations. Like, we are all one church, and we were all one church. Just, we put all that to aside, and we all worshiped together. It was awesome. I reserve the right to say more, but you can share now too.
I don't know what I want to add necessarily. I think Mo and I on the drive down were like, actually we feel pretty good. Like, we feel like it's not been that bad on us. And then the first thing Mo did was cry when she read the first thing, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, she's emotional, so that's all good. I'm more buttoned down because I don't want to let the emotions reign. And then, because it's a church event, so you have to recreate a church service, right? That's what we do when we get together. So there's worship time and teaching time and prayer time, and so they did that. And the first worship set, and I look over and my wife's crying. So I ran and got her some Kleenex because I knew she didn't think to get Kleenex. Because I was crying. Well, but yeah. Your mascara was running. And so I don't often get to worship here on Sundays because I'm thinking about church. I'm thinking about my sermon. I'm thinking about things, and it's not in any way a reflection of our amazing worship teams. It's totally just me. And so we're at this event where we can worship freely. And I realized, though, I had a moment of time where I started to sing, and I started to get quite emotional, and I was like, oh, no, you need to lock this down. And so I just, hands in my pocket, and I stopped singing, and I just took it in and sort of controlled that emotion during that time, because I don't know any of these people. They don't need to see the old guy crying. So always for me, though, the teaching is kind of the key part. Like, it's the part that I really want and take in. And we had listened to a podcast on the way down or a sermon? No, it was a sermon from Urim McManus, who we quite like, and it was spoke to us in a really powerful way. And then everything we heard on the weekend was along that same track.
Yeah, it was kind of freaky how, like, the Lord, from the second we got in the car, like, kind of God was like, okay, this is my theme for your week, and this is what you're going to learn in it. And we did. It was awesome.
And we did, again and
Yeah.
again in different ways.
Yeah.
It was very, it was powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was super good. We'll probably share some of that later, but or another time. But one other thing I thought was really interesting, because we were all in that same boat. In the first worship set, something technical went wrong. There was no sound, and a guy goes up and he goes, "None of you have to worry about this. Like, every single one of you, I can all see. We're like, oh, you looked
We
at the
all
sound,
looked
like,
back.
and I go, this is not for you. Like, this you're receiving. Let it go." And then we all just clapped. It was like, yes. Technical issues, have them.
They're not for us.
Not for us. It was really good. The only thing that they also kind of shared, which I'm selling of the Billy Graham, which I'm not, because I would now give them. I will give them my firstborn. I will donate wherever I can find. But the one thing that they asked, because a part of me too, like, even until the penny dropped finally, I think on day 3, it's like, oh, I get what they're doing. Because I'm thinking, Billy Graham Evangelical, like, their whole thing was the tents and getting people to know Jesus. And your audience here all know Jesus. Like, we've already committed, we've signed the paper. Like, this is a waste of your time, Billy Graham, like, I'm thinking. And then I realized, oh, by the end, when it's like, oh, we're all healed, we can go back and hopefully try to find other people that need to know Jesus. I was like, oh, I get why you do this. That's clever, you guys. And one thing that they have, that they said their passion still is to outreach in community, and that's why we want to work with the local churches. And one thing that they have this vision for that they've started is calling prayer walks through your community. And so I'm just putting this out there. If you want it, no money is required for this. If you want to sign up, and I haven't put it on our website because I just remembered now, but I will later today, by tomorrow. If you're a person that goes on a frequent walk, what they want us to do is register on their organization to say, hey, there's somebody in Devon, when you're walking your dog, you're going past the homes, you're saying, you know, God, may somebody here that needs to know Jesus find a church. Don't even pray for, well, I hope they come to River of Hope, whatever. If you see the schools, if you walk by the schools, you can go, gosh, I hope Jesus reigns here. Even though the Christian school, he does, but like, just be praying for our community. Go by a business and pray that the owners will, like, I don't know, whatever it is. If you want to just pray for River of Hope as you're on the walk, they want you to just register to say, hey, I am praying for my community when I'm out in my community. And I just thought we can easily do that. That is something we can do. And I know a lot of our ladies walk from here and, you know, have a talk, but also pray too. So we'll put that up this week, that you can register if you want to be. They just want to have a map. They showed us the map of all the little dots across Canada, but they want it to be just full of red of people praying for this country. So I think that's it. No, one more thing. They also had, this was really cool. You're going to get more, but on every time we ate together, which was yummy food. This already sounds braggy. We were in the mountains and we had good food and it was all free. But they had these little prayer cards, and you could write down whatever your prayer was, and they said to us, everybody on their team just flips through, because they're doing this all across Canada. They're going to centers all around Canada, and they take back the cards, and they just pray for them, and they pray for them. And I know, because how much we were in tune from the Lord, I know they were praying for us leading up, and I know that they have prayer warriors. So you guys, I wrote down, the first day I was like, don't need prayer. By the end of the day, by the end of the week, like, literally we're going to the goodbye thing, and I was like, give me another card. And you guys, I wrote down some of our names here, just the people that I know need prayer, and I hope you're okay with that. I wrote for our family, I wrote down River of Hope, I wrote down for some of your kids' names. I was like, you guys, we're going to get free prayer too. So you should be open to, we are going to see the Lord work here because of his prayer. Okay, that's it, I'm done.
You don't have to be done. You're all good. No, this is my face. I can't help it. One of the speakers told this story, and again, we'll share about some of the things we learned at a future time. But he told this story. So he's a counselor, and he moved to the Okanagan because he felt a real strong call to help the university students and it's the Okanagan, I'm assuming. As he moved, UBC took over Okanagan College. Now, if you can imagine, UBC was not receptive to a Christian counselor being on their campus. And so they said, no, we don't, we're good, thank you. But he said, okay, we're gonna start a counseling practice anyway. And every day they drove from their home past the campus to their office. And he said, I drove my wife crazy because she works with me. And on the drive, every single day, as we drove past the campus, I held out my hand and I said something like this, you will invite me onto campus and you will make space for me. And he prayed that, which sounds like a declaration, but it's also a prayer, for 7 years. And then, see, button it down, Dave. And then they called him and said, our psychological or emotional services are overwhelmed right now. We need help. We have created a beautiful office space for you on campus, and we want you to come in. And now they do 90% of the counseling. Like, I know you know prayer works, but do you know it's the dedication to it that works? It's not the, I pray it once, God didn't answer, so I'm done. It is ongoing prayer. It is ongoing determination that this is where I believe God needs to work. And so that wasn't even his point, but that it was powerful anyway. It was just a great weekend. So I want to, obviously we're going to hit the next thing in Leviticus, and I sort of rewrote it a little bit this morning, but I didn't write it down, so bear with me as we go through this. So we're working in Leviticus. We come to these next passages. This is our 16th sermon in Leviticus, and we're on chapters 13 and 14. So just before I jump in, let me just pray, and then we'll begin. Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for the gift that you've given us in this church and these believers. And we ask you to use us to reach this community. We ask you to use us in any way you see fit, that we center on you on Sunday morning and that we release that into our community when we go from here. We pray that you guide this time today and that you speak into my ear, that it's your words that are heard and not mine. We pray this in your son's name. Amen. Okay, so I want you to imagine a surgical suite. Now, imagine it's like one of those ones you see on TV where there's a viewing gallery, like so people can watch the surgery happening, which don't do that, I think. Like maybe you want to, I don't know. I actually used to, when they used to have these public channels that they created and then they sold them. So like the Discovery Channel used to be a public access channel, and then they sold it, and so now it's for profit. And so that sort of changes what they put on TV now. But Discovery used to have this show called Operation, and they would just show an operation. And it was horrifying. I liked watching it because you'd see these really kind of cool operations. You'd be like, oh, that's how they do that. And then I was watching one and they did like a knee replacement. And I was like, ooh, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. I can't watch that. That was a bad decision. I made a bad decision today. I'm not going to do that. So anyway, imagine you're watching an operation. Imagine it's somebody you know. Let's imagine it's a knee replacement surgery on someone you know, a loved one, and you have the chance to go up and watch it. Now imagine, as you get up there, you're going to have some expectations, right? You're going to look down and you're going to expect to see some people in there, but you're also going to expect to see a degree of order and sterility, right? Like if you look in there and there's Big Mac boxes and a whole bunch of litter, you're going to start to go, could we pause this surgery until you clean up a little? You notice the oxygen tube has some black gunk in it. And you're like, that's not good. I don't like that. One of the people in there has an open wound on their arm, and you're like, hang on a minute. Maybe heal thyself first. Like, you can sort of picture that wouldn't be what you wanted, right? And what we're talking about in these next 2 chapters is this idea of infection in people and clothing, infection in the community. And it is really easy, and we often do this, and they certainly did it in this time. We equate that with sin. You have leprosy because you're sinful. You have this rot in your life because you have sinned. And you think, well, yeah, we don't think that way now. Except we do, kind of. We do kind of start to think when things are going wrong in someone's life, what have they done? Or are they not centered enough on God? Like, why would this happen to them? And Maureen and I used to talk about this all the time, about finances. If we were having some financial troubles, which, let's face it, is kind of continual, she would go, we didn't tithe. I was like, we should tithe, but those are not related things. Those are not related. I mean, we tithe now. It's easy because we have it as a regular thing, and I have a notification on my phone so that I know when it happens, also so I can be in prayer for that offering that I'm giving. And also, like, just so it's not, like, even though it automatically comes out of my bank, it's not automatic in my heart, right? Like, because I think that's important too, some intentionality. But we can often fall into this place of, when something's going wrong, what have I done to deserve this? And some of it is sort of self-righteous. It's like, what have I done to deserve this? Nothing. I'm a good person. Why are things going wrong? But often in Christian circles, we also equate it with some form of wrongdoing. And let me, if you don't agree with that, let me put it the other way. They're a good, faithful Christian. How could God do that? Do you see how that's the same thing? It's the same thing. We're equating being a faithful, God-serving person with bounty in your life. They're not equated. I'm sorry to say they're not. I would like to say when you become a Christian, your life gets easier and you have lots of money and you never want for anything. You'll never get sick until the day you die peacefully in your sleep next to your loving spouse. But that is not life on this planet. And to even equate it is to miss the whole lesson of the book of Job. Because in Job, life goes a little wrong for him. And the message is, God didn't do this to him. And he rebukes the people that equated sin in Job's life with this devastation. He loses all his kids, his wife, all his possessions, everything, and his friends come to console him and really just chastise him for sin in his life. And the message of Job is, those are not related things. How dare you accuse God of this? But we do it. And we do it without even thinking about it. And it's important to recognize that's not what this is about. When we read these passages, it's not about sin. It's not about sin. And yet, they remove the people from the community. Right? They take them out. Let's start. Leviticus 13 says this. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, if anyone has a swelling or a rash or discolored skin that might develop into a serious skin disease, that person must be brought to Aaron the priest or to one of his sons. The priest will examine the affected area of the skin. If the hair in the affected area is turned white and the problem appears to be more than skin deep, it is a serious skin disease, and the priest who examines it must pronounce the person ceremonially unclean. See, now notice they're bringing the person to the priest. I mean, don't do this, okay? But they're not going to the medical people there. They're going to the priest because they're dealing with ceremonially unclean, not medically unclean, though that's also true, but there's a point here where they're coming to the priest. So it's really easy to go, right, why would they do that? Sin. But what you're missing there is the priest has the charge of the safety, the spiritual safety of the community, but also in bringing together a nation that wasn't. Right? Leviticus is the first teaching to this new nation. And they're trying to gather everyone together and keep them as a community. And if you think about that in a community, so stop thinking about it like open source. Think about it like impurity or like divisiveness in your community. So if that happened here, we would want to not say you're gone and you're gone for good, but we would want to address the issue before we enfold the person again. Like for us, it's easy to imagine that you could have somebody, don't do this either, stand up and start screaming at the pastor and creating all sorts of divisiveness, which can happen and separate a church. We used to see that. People talk about it in the 80s. They would have these worship wars, right? Oh no, you have to sing hymns only. No, we want choruses. I don't even know what that was. Honestly, when people would talk about that to me, they would go, so your church, do they do hymns or choruses? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. Oh, then it's probably choruses. I still don't know I know what a hymn is vaguely, but what is a chorus that you're talking about? And I still don't explain it to me because I don't care. I don't, because God doesn't say sing only one kind of song. He says, sing to me a new song. Sing spiritual songs. Sing to me a new song. Don't shy away. Like, you can have taste in music, and you should. And you can have preferences in music, and you should. However, this is not the place for that. Right? This is not the place for our taste in things. In the church we went to in Saskatchewan, I remember I was talking to one of the seniors, and she was 91 years old, and I was on the tech team, and I was talking to her after the service, and I was saying something about it had been an older song, heavy service. And I only know that because I inputted the songs. I didn't know it from my knowledge of the songs because I didn't grow up in church, so I didn't know any of the songs. They were all new to me. And I said, oh, was this a good Sunday for you musically? And she said, you know what? I've been going to church since I was born. I had the songs I loved my whole life. But if we want new people in this church, we need to sing their music. Because music has power for people. And I was like, wow, what a refreshing kind of idea. And it really made me think as I came to this church that it really can't be about my taste in music. It can't be about my taste in scripture. It can't be about my taste in anything, really, because it's not about me. And I'm sorry, but it's not about you either. Like, I apologize, it's just not. It's about God. And if it's not about God, why are we here? Why do you care? Why would you waste a Sunday morning if it's not about God? If we're not focused on Jesus, if that's not the center of what we're doing here, then this is a waste of everybody's time. It's just a waste. And so if you come here on a Sunday morning and you go, that was a terrible Sunday, Dave was awful, the music was terrible, it was just terrible. It's like, well, maybe that's all true, but where was your heart going in? Like, if you're centered on Jesus, none of that matters because you're centered on, I can get what I can get from this, or I can offer it all to God. Because we live in a consumerist society, but church isn't supposed to be that place. We're not supposed to consume it and have a rating. Like, maybe we'll put that on the website. Out of 10, how's the music today? We'll go by song, and then we'll do the announcements. You know, how was that young person that I did, you know, Dee's my favorite, I love her. You know, Trent's not quite as good. Like, you know, like you wouldn't even think of that, but yet in our hearts we kind of do that, right? Like, and when we are talking about these passages in Leviticus where we're talking about these open sores and they're saying, listen, you need to deal with the open seeping infection before you come into the community fully again, before you enter church again. It is so Old Testament teaching, right? And then something happened about 2,000 years ago that changed the teaching. And it became, for Jesus, the community is broader and yet narrower. It's broader in that he died for everyone. It's narrower in that you have to accept the gift. You no longer get to just be, well, I'm a Jew, or I'm Catholic. And it's a birthright. I'm going to heaven because my parents were Catholic. They weren't. Well, no, that's not true. My dad was. He went to a Catholic boarding school when he was young. I mean, he wasn't. He was an atheist, but he was, sort of. So, you know, but he was baptized in the Catholic Church. He was confirmed in the Catholic Church. He did Mass every single day of his life until he left school, 3 times on Sunday, all in Latin. How fun was that? So of course he's in heaven, right? He passed away. Of course he's in heaven, right? Because that's how it works, right? It's his birthright. He was born into that church. He did all the things. Well, I don't know where he is because I don't get to decide that. But honestly, it's a choice we're making. And that's why it's narrower. But that's why it's also important when Maureen talks about how we went to this place and there were 150 pastors from different denominations worshiping God and learning about God together. The power in that is profound and incredible because there might be differences, but they're not important because we centered on Jesus. And that is what matters. And so when we read this stuff in Leviticus and we go, oh, like how divisive is that? And you think, wow, Jesus must have hated the divisiveness of that, right? Except, what does he say when he heals the lepers? Matthew 8 says this, large crowds followed Jesus as he came down the mountainside. Suddenly a man with leprosy approached him and knelt before him. Lord, the man said, if you're willing, you can heal me and make me clean. Jesus reached out and touched him. I am willing, he said, be healed. And instantly the leprosy disappeared. Then Jesus said to him, don't tell anyone about this. Instead, go to the priest and let him examine you. Take along the offering required in the law of Moses for those who have been healed of leprosy. This will be a public testimony that you have been cleansed. So he's healed, but to re-enter the community, he needs to show that he's cleansed. He needs to show that he's done this, that he is not only healed, but he is healed in his heart and is ready to be part of the community. And that is so Jesus isn't saying, throw out the Old Testament. The laws of Moses don't apply anymore. He's saying, you still need to be bound by the rules of the community you're in. And that's a hard thing for us to get, is this idea of the rules of the community. If you read this passage, I have to find this spot because it just is so weird to read. This Leviticus 13, 45 to 46. This is what you had to do. Those who suffered from a serious skin disease must tear their clothing, leave their hair uncombed. They must cover their mouth and call out, unclean, unclean, as long as the serious disease lasts. They will be ceremonially unclean. They must live in isolation in their place outside the camp. Fun, hey? Unclean, unclean. What if we had to do that when our hearts were not centered in the right place? What if you had to come to church and then you realize, oh, right, I'm not focused on Jesus this morning. I'm unclean, unclean, and go outside. Maybe that's a new thing. Let's not do that. Jesus' message is restoration in the community is possible and expected. And everyone is invited into our community. And in our modern healthcare system, you're not limited by having a wound. You're limited by having a wound in your heart. Your limitation is how hurt you are, how accepting you are of the message. And it is easy. Like, I could go on the streets in downtown Devon during Devon days and preach to people who are doing Taste of Devon or riding carnival rides, but how receptive would they be to that? Right? Now, I mean, probably very little. There are going to be some people who are like, oh, that's kind of awesome that that crazy guy is doing that. But for the most part, people are not going to be receptive to that because it's easy to tell somebody something that is true that they don't believe. Right? So we saw this more in the last 2 years than ever before. The truth in our world is relative. Right? Well, that's my truth. No, it's not. Truth is truth. I'm sorry. Truth is truth. If it's true, it's true. And if it's true, it's God. It's not true because you believe it's true. Like the towers in New York on 9/11, because you have developed a conspiracy theory about what happened, doesn't make it true. It just becomes a narrative that you tell. we so often heard over the last 2 years, oh, well, I mean, here's the truth. I read it on Facebook, or I saw a YouTube video. Here's the truth. I did research. It's like, okay, well, maybe it is true. I don't know, because you know what I'm not? An epidemiologist. You know what I'm not? An expert in transmission of diseases. You know what I'm not? An expert in the capability of masks. I'm none of those things. So all the time we spend debating things, especially in churches, we lose sight of the thing that counts, which is Jesus. Like, we have these crazy debates that we have that should be treated like an infection in our community. The idea that you can only believe one thing about something that isn't Jesus needs to be carefully thought through. Mo and I were involved in an ordination meeting, council that we talked about that last weekend. So last Saturday we were involved in ordination council. And one of the questions that was asked of one of the guys, and it was a pointed question based on some previous conversations, was, do you believe in Adam and Eve were real people? So that was the question asked. And so the answer was depending on whether the person who asked the question was going to say he should be ordained in our denomination, not a denomination, or not. Now, he gave a really good answer, I thought, but when we'd had the debate previously, before that moment, and I was involved in the conversation, he said, you know, I didn't put that in my statement because I didn't think it was really important in my faith. And the person that asked the question said, oh, well, if you don't believe Adam and Eve are real people, you can't believe Jesus was real. And therefore, you're not a Christian. And I'm like, so I tried to keep my mouth shut, I promise you I did, but I couldn't let that go. No, they're not the same thing. I'm not telling you they're not real. What I'm telling you is that's not the same thing. Whatever you believe about the age of the earth, the veracity of Adam and Eve as real people, whether Job is an allegorical tale or a tale about a real person, does not matter to the person and gift that was Jesus Christ to the people of this earth. Those are not the same thing. And to declare that they are the same is to create a barricade that only people who agree with you get into heaven. And thankfully, I don't get to decide. Neither do you. We don't get to. And so we should be very, very careful about arbitrary rules. We should be very, very resolute on Jesus. We should never waver on our stand behind Jesus Christ, the person and his actions, because that is the truth. Now, does that mean somebody who disagrees with you about Jesus Christ should not come to church? Well, no, that's also dumb. You, just in the same way, if you disagree with me about the age of the earth, you should still be able to come here, and you can even argue with me. Don't do it now. Because it's okay with me if we disagree about some things. It's in fact okay with me if we disagree about Jesus, because I used to not believe in him. I didn't believe in God, and I didn't believe in Jesus. And thankfully, people didn't let that go. And even more importantly, he didn't let it go. He spoke to me through an atheist. He reached me, a very unreachable person, in his own way, in his own time. And for us, as we study these weird Old Testament passages that seem to have all these rules that are barriers for people being involved in the community, we need to find a way to translate that into what does it mean today? Because obviously, today the rule is different. Jesus changed things, but the rule, if you look at it carefully, is not wildly different. It is that if you are a barrier to other people's involvement in the community of God, you should be outside the community until you're healed and can come back in. If you are stopping other people from believing in Jesus, you're the infection. If what you're telling people stops them from hearing about Jesus, you're the problem. Right? Like, I think I was fortunate in my life in that I didn't, like, lots of Christians tried to talk to me, but nobody was a barrier for me. They just never gave me the answer. But you all know people. You all know somebody who actually is a barrier for other people, who says, you can't come to church until you deal with this sin in your life. You can't come to church until X. You can't come to church until Y. You can't come to church until this is dealt with. And I have said to you before, and I'm saying it to you again this morning, no, come to church. We'll deal with it together. Come to church. There is no sin so heinous that you can't join us in church. There is nothing in your life between you and God except you. And so when we together meet, and you're thinking, I can think of a couple sins I don't want in our midst. There's no sin hierarchy. So if you go out into the foyer and talk about somebody else who's not present, you're sinning, and it's equivalent to all the rest. And we see, it's so easy to rank ourselves, right? Hey, look, I'm better than Hitler. Too easy for you? I'm better than Justin Trudeau. I'm better than Jason Kenney. Right? I'm better. It's an arbitrary measure, but I'm better because look at them. Right? I'm better. Okay, but they're not the standard. The problem is the standard's unreachable for you. For me too. It's just not reachable. You will never, ever be sin-free. And since that's the mark, it's not 117 sins and you're out of heaven. Like, I made that number up. It's not 10,052 either. There's no number. What there is a way, despite everything you do, think, and say wrong, to go and be eternally with God. And that way is through and only through Jesus. And people hate that message. You guys don't. But the world hates that message because it sounds like we're saying every other religion is wrong, every other person is wrong, and they go, no, but on the balance of things, I'm a good person. Sure. We all are, mostly, on the balance of things, right? Even Hitler, he was loved. People loved him, right? Is that the standard? He had a dog, right? The dog loved him. See, I sure hope somebody doesn't quote me out of context today. Our pastor said Hitler wasn't that bad. We, so far over time, in the arbitrary clock on my head, we live in this world where we want to be the arbiter, the judge of our own behavior. We want, well, and everyone else around us. I mean, they're also the judge of their own behavior and everyone else around them, so it doesn't work out well. Because if you, okay, so think of not your family, right? Just think of people in your community. Okay, so now you think, well, I see all the stuff they do wrong, right? All right, Justin Trudeau. He wore blackface. Well, clearly he's a terrible person, right? Okay, but Justin Trudeau knows what happened there. He knows the story behind that. And so for him, he can justify his actions, right? In the same way, when you do something wrong, you know the story. See, I'm not really a terrible person to cut off that person in traffic. I just almost missed my exit. You know the story, but the person you cut off, they don't know. They just know you're a terrible person because you cut me off because you're selfish. Which is true, because you could have gone to the next exit. But we don't, like, you tell yourself the story about why, and then you judge other people based on just the action. Thankfully, that's not the measure from God. The measure from God is not, on balance, are you good or bad? Because that might not work out as well as we think it will. The measure from God is, you're not. But I made a way. I made a way when there was no way. I made a way for you who are not perfect to be perfect. I made a way. And that way was in the person of Jesus Christ, who died for us and was risen, seated at the right hand of the Father, to intercede for us. And if that doesn't fire you up at all, I mean, maybe it's rap music, I don't know. So, you know, when I read these passages in Leviticus, and we only have like one more before we take a break for the summer, and when I read these passages in Leviticus, I see Jesus resonating through it all, because I see a time when all they could do was deal with the symptom. And now we deal with the heart. And that's because of Jesus. We deal with the heart of the matter, not the symptom of the disease. And, you know, the disease is prevalent. But we can get through that because we have Jesus. So, as we sort of go far too late today, I'm sorry. Go in the grace and love of Jesus Christ and know that He longs for a relationship with you, and He longs for that for every person you encounter. And so if you show that love, it matters. It matters. So I'm going to pray, and then you're free to go. You're free to go anytime, actually. We didn't lock the doors. Go in the grace and love of Jesus Christ. We'll also have some prayer time down front if you want specific prayer for anything. if you want to learn more about Switchback, talk to Jesse. If you want to learn more about parenting, the parenting webinar, talk to Maureen or myself. The thing is, so often with these parenting things, and someone was talking to me, so I missed if you said this, Mo, but is we all recognize you can be too firm and you can be too lax in parenting. And what this webinar, why the person impressed me was, they said, right, since you can be on the two extremes, you should be in the middle. And we're going to give you some tools to help you do that in a better way. And I thought it was really an interesting way to look at it, because in our marriage, I'm too firm and she's too nice. So she